From the Green Room Studios at Bates Nursery in Nashville, Tennessee, it's Gardening Inside Out, a podcast with highlights from our Saturday morning live show, answering all your gardening questions, giving you plant advice for any space in your life. Let's start the show.
Hey, everybody, it's Caroline Gant.
Hey, everybody, it's Austin Lowen.
It's Tyler Blankenship.
And it's a beautiful day. It is the first sign of, real spring today.
It is.
Tyler.
I saw,
No, sorry. What'd you see? Great start.
on my way to work, a whole ditch of daffodils in bloom,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
like a carpet.
I was going to talk about that a little bit. There's a lot of different bulbs, not necessarily blooming. I guess only the daffodils that are really in that sunny, warm spot are the ones blooming right now, because a lot of them are still just poking. Some of them halfway up. But then there's other stuff happening. I mean, there's a lot of, I talked about tulips last week. Those are popping. I saw some surprise lilies this morning on the way into work.
Did you really?
Mm-hmm. Obviously not blooming, but poking.
Yeah. Hi.
Mm-hmm. They're surprising us.
They're surprising us. Yes, they're coming up.
Mm-hmm.
I have daffodils that just pop up randomly in my yard, too.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how they got there.
That's just them old country yard. That's how it is.
Mm-hmm.
People just used to throw them bulbs out there.
Yep.
They just pop up in the lawn. And then once they're done blooming, you're like, I'm going to mow them.
I'm going to chop them down.
Uh-huh.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Then they just keep coming back.
Mm-hmm.
We recommend to people all the time, leave your bulbs up, even when they look rough. Keep the green up as much as you can until they go brown, and then you can chop them. But it's daffodils don't care. They're like, I'm done blooming, cut me.
Cut me down. I will say the ones that come up in my yard that get mowed down as soon as our first mow happens and they're gone are not as beefy as the ones that I let stay up. Those are the ones that multiply and spread.
Mm-hmm.
Now these, it's always just one single one that comes up every year and it's like, hi, it's spring. And then it gets chopped down.
Little puny daffy. And that's why we recommend to leave them up, because they have energy for next year to be helpful and to spread and be great.
That's right.
And yeah.
All right, what were you going to say to Tyler?
I was going to ask him what the weather was going to be today. Exactly. He's in shorts, everybody. Tyler's in shorts. Second day of shorts. Tyler wore them yesterday, although it wasn't even quite 70
Were you
yet.
wearing shorts yesterday?
Yes. How'd you miss that?
I
It
don't
was
know.
68. That's plenty shorts weather.
It was very warm. It was hot in the houseplant greenhouse, and we had the fans going, and I was still like, ooh, I'm ready for that shade cloth to be up.
How did you miss Tyler's gleaming legs?
I don't know.
Seriously?
Because I was busy working like a mad woman.
You're so busy all day that you couldn't see Tyler's beautiful legs.
I'm sorry,
Y'all,
Tyler.
if you don't know, Tyler's got some of the nicest calves on the planet.
They're insane.
They really
If you're not into plants and you're listening to this podcast and you're like, I have no reason to go to Bates, that is your reason to come to Bates.
Oh, yeah. You talk about beefy.
And amazing and shining and beautiful. Those calves are
man.
perfection.
They really are.
Yeah, just come watch this pony prance around.
There you go.
You'll love it.
Yeah, I love when you prance. So anyway, what's the temperature today, Tyler? What are you prancing in today? What kind of sunny weather do we have?
75 degrees.
We're 75. I didn't know it was that high.
That's what I saw this morning when I glanced. And I was like, absolutely, I'm shorting my shorts.
I'm shorting my shorts.
Yes, you did.
I guess I meant
Better
sporting.
than doing other things in your shorts. Yes, so it's funny though. It got me off track. It is funny though how the weather in the morning is very, very chilly. I mean, I'm still in a hoodie and a beanie, okay, and corduroy pants, unfortunately. But
I'm in a hoodie.
yeah,
It's just the logs don't need the
My legs would be
the
so
warmth,
cold
you
right
know?
now if they were out.
agreed.
Yeah.
Well, my wife turned the heat off yesterday in our house because it was so nice. She had the windows open and things were breezy and it was all great.
Ooh, airing out that house.
Forgot to turn the heat back on last night. This morning it was it was chilly. It was 59 degrees in my house.
Oh, I didn't have my heat on for the last 2 days.
Ooh, I tell you what though, in the morning that's rough.
Yeah, it was kind of rough, but I don't mind it.
It's
I
like
mean, but I didn't
camping.
want to get up at
It
all.
is like camping. Living in my house is very similar to camping.
But it makes it so hard
All
to get
the
out of those hot covers in the morning when you're it's freezing in my house.
Not if you have a comfy pair of slippers.
No,
Listen,
Tyler, I don't want no
I
slippers.
get up, I throw a blanket over my shoulders, and then I go make coffee. I live like a cowboy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Over a hot fire.
She likes her cowboy
next to your
coffee,
single
too.
daffodil.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, gosh. Anyway, okay. Other than bulbs, what else is happening? I mean, we're talking about it. It's the first sign of spring, really. I mean, we've said this before. It's not necessarily the first sign, but it kind of is.
I've seen on the
75's nice.
Yeah, I've seen on the Outlook we might get another cold blast in the beginning weeks
No.
of March.
How cold?
Not Arctic cold,
No.
thankfully.
And you mean cold kind of nights, right? I mean, in mild-ish days.
I mean possibility of a snow event, maybe light, something along those lines. It happens every year. It happens because we just had it this month. We had the early warm up in the beginning of February, and then we had a little snow event. We got a little bloop. That's over. Now we're warming up again. What's going to happen again? Another week or two. Boom. That's my prediction.
All right. Well, you do know weather well, so I mean, I'm okay.
You do.
I've been here so long now. I understand the patterns.
I know.
It is kind of wild after working at Bates you and I are going on year 5.
Yeah.
Because Tyler and I started the same day, April Fool's Day, everyone, 2020.
What a joke.
We walked into
We've
Bates
been keeping
Nursery
up the joke for years.
Yeah.
But you get so in tune with the weather. I mean, working here,
You have to with the amount
I
of plant
understand
material.
it so much more than I used to.
Well, you especially, because, I mean, your plants are coming from, like Brazil that live inside our homes here. So it's like, whoa, we can't have the heat go out in there. You got to
Or they are gone. I know. I do have nightmares of the heat going out in the houseplant greenhouse while it's snowing, and I come in and all of the houseplants are just frozen.
And it happens. It happens
That
to
would
people.
be terrible.
It would. For some reason, the heat don't kick on at night, and you're like, okay.
Yeah.
I've also been working outside in some form or another for 13 years. So before Bates Nursery, I was still just outside doing my
working.
job.
Yeah. I was doing a lot of stuff outside, but just working with the plants and having to understand weather patterns. I thought you were about to say I've been working out, and I thought you were taking this podcast into a new realm.
Yeah, I'm
Hopefully
totally
it's not a
jacked.
working out realm, because I'm not a part of that
You
one.
will never.
No, I'm just like, I had to be weather aware, I had to dress for it. And then I noticed, hey, there's been a snow. And then like you post a story about it, on your social media. And then you look back and literally like 10 years ago, there was a snowstorm like the same very week.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, a pattern has appeared.
Yeah.
The weather's wild.
You just get used to certain things happening. So hopefully wherever you're listening from, you will also notice those patterns too and anticipate them.
Yes.
Hey, I do have a correction for myself from last week's intro. We talked about the winter jasmine that's out in front of that church in Nashville. I had the wrong church. So we were talking about St. Anne's Episcopal Church, which is actually in East Nashville. This is St. Anne Catholic Church that is on Charlotte Pike. So if you were listening and you were like, this is not right, I have corrected myself. Apologies.
So
for
you
that
dragged
mistake.
the Episcopal Church?
I didn't drag anybody. We were talking about the winter jasmine. I think Austin was the one that dragged him for cutting him out.
I just acted like I knew what you were talking about.
You did.
I'm like,
With
yeah, that
such
church downtown.
confident. You were like, oh, yeah, that one.
Well, what's funny is you know me. I don't go to Nashville ever, like ever. I don't know Nashville at all. So you should have known. That's the problem.
Honestly,
you should have known. You'd be like, you don't know what church
I was
I'm
shocked
talking about.
when you said that. But I do know if you go to Nashville, you're usually on the west side, it seems like the Sylvan Park area, West End, I guess.
I don't
If
even
you
know what the
haven't
West Side
listened
is.
to last week's podcast and you're like, what are they talking about? Go back and give it a listen. But we were talking about a church that is on Charlotte Pike in Nashville that used to have some beautiful winter jasmine that would bloom that they have since removed and replaced with some panicle hydrangeas, which also looks great. But now I've corrected myself.
Good.
See,
Glad you feel better.
I used to drive past that church all the time. And I remember that massive winter jasmine.
So gorgeous.
It's
I
like
found
right
it on
there.
Google Maps, so
Yeah,
you can look it
you
up,
can see
y'all,
it.
and you can see it. It was spilling over the side of a retaining wall. We don't need to talk about it more because we talked about it a lot last week, but stunning.
Yeah.
All right, and moving on.
Well, let's see. What else is happening in the plant world?
I have to say, my lime tree has so many little limes on it now. They're probably the size of large jelly beans, I guess. Kidney beans, maybe,
Oh, those big jelly beans that come out at Easter.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about. There's
Yes.
larger jelly beans.
Yes. And I did a fertilizer routine right when it was flowering. So it has a ton of bloom and fruit set right now, just with some organic fertilizer. And I've just been like watering it maybe like once a week.
Sounds
and it's
perfect.
It's just been happily growing.
I bet it smells so good.
Yeah. So people, I've actually talked to a couple people who are getting citrus plants this time of year. Some people who've been scarred by like the leaf drop and the reaction to maybe it not having the exact conditions of light and stuff like that. So just know it is possible to have a fruiting tree that's happy,
Indoors. My mom has one. I was at her house not too long ago, and she has a lot of limes on it. It's in her dining room right now because it's indoors for the winter. She puts it out. I kept running into the limes, and I was so scared I was going to knock them off. But they were holding strong. But yeah, hers are almost like golf ball sized. Like they're getting They're getting mature.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Stunning.
Mama's had a lemon for a long time too. It's doing fine. It doesn't always look great. We've talked about that.
Yeah, my lemon will look bad in the winter.
Yeah, a lot of times it does. You know what's funny is Mama lets hers so you know that most citrus is grafted onto a different plant altogether. Ponsyrus trifoliata is the botanical name, and it's people call it like a semi-hardy orange. I think they used to use it for it's extremely gnarly, spiny, an awful just ball of thorns type of plant, and it makes these smaller little orange looking things. They're supposed to be real sour.
We sell these here.
About the dragon citrus?
People, what do they call flying dragon or something like that? That's a common name. Yeah, Ponsyrus is the genus. I saw one actually,
Ben
big one.
loves them.
Yeah, I saw one at the Memphis Zoo actually, in the giraffe enclosure, the Africa enclosure. I guess it wasn't just a giraffe. Nobody goes to the zoo and just let's go to the giraffe enclosure. They're just wandering. But there was a big old Ponsyrus, a big old ball of green gnarled up mass.
I want
it was
one
great.
of those, yeah.
But they graft the citrus that y'all have typically onto that down below. Well, if you don't do anything and you're like Mama and she don't really know exactly what to do, it'll send up a shoot from below that. So Mama's got the old twofer plant right now. She got
my gosh.
She got the lemons, the actual lemons on one side, and then she got Ponsyrus on the other side. And they look totally different. Leaf shape totally different, much smaller leaves. And like I said, way more thorns. So it's kind of that funny look. And every once in a while I'll go over there and be like, Mama, we got to cut this off. You don't want that one.
Does she not want to cut it off? Is she like, no, leave it?
Yeah, she's like that.
I want to see a picture of that.
She's like, I love the thorns. They're like little talons.
Well, it's not necessarily that. It's just I think the not even old school, just a lot of people are just really don't want to cut anything off a plant. They're like, I'm going to mess up. My plant looks good.
People get scared, yeah.
Yeah, and they're like, I ain't cutting nothing. What are you talking about cutting? And I'll come over and just immediately snip it off or break it off. Don't even care. And Mom's like, oh, my God.
How could you?
Yeah, what'd you do? I've had that for years, and you just took it off. I'm like, well, yeah, but that's
it needed to go. Yeah.
Pruning is such a rejuvenation process for a plant a lot of times.
It really is, and a lot of people don't understand it. But with pruning houseplants and stuff, because I get that question a lot. It's doing something. I'm like, just cut it off. They're like, oh, I could never. I'm going to hurt the plant. But we get haircuts. We cut our nails.
Exactly. You have to have some pruning. You have to have some.
We prune ourselves.
Some self-care.
Yeah.
You're also you're stimulating the plant and you're changing the flow of nutrients to where you want them to arrive.
Yeah, so if you want new buds to crack somewhere, you prune out other stuff and let the new ones take over, the whole thing. It's fantastic.
It is a whole thing.
And plus, it just feels good. It just feels good
I
to
love
prune
pruning
something.
plants. I still need to prune that Japanese maple I have in my yard.
It's been weeks, Caroline.
I know. I just don't know.
What do you mean you don't know? You know?
I just don't know.
You still haven't shown me a picture.
You about to not know anything, and it's just going to
go
by.
crazy.
See?
Tyler's
right.
I'll take a picture when I get home from work.
This is the scary time of year where stuff might leaf out after a nice little
That's true.
spell.
Oh,
and then you're like, oh, it's too late.
That is a good point.
Okay.
I do want to see that.
I will take a picture. I'll send it to you. It's still pretty. It's about my height. It's not huge.
For our northern neighbors, you've got more time.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
We're just, in the South, we get these little licks of warmth, and then you never know what's popping up next.
We're on that border right now. You can feel it at the nursery too. Yesterday with it being warm, we started moving plants out. We're starting to get busy. We had 4 trucks in the morning come in. So we're definitely feeling it here.
Yeah. And what you're talking about, if you don't know Bates Nursery, is that we host all of our plants up under greenhouses and shelter over the wintertime. Okay. So here in Middle Tennessee, like Tyler just talked about, we get nice warm days, and inside of a greenhouse, it certainly heats up. So what happens is some of those early leafing plants send out some early leaves. That's what they do when they're inside a building. So once we have to bring them all out, which is what we do, out onto the lot, no cover, no nothing, just straight up asphalt sunshine, baby. Yeah, I'm excited about it. Once we do that, we have to look at those tender, tiny little leaves that cracked inside the greenhouse area, and when they come out. So if we have weather that dips down stupid, like Tyler's talking about, down to 25 or something, those new leaves can get burned. Now, does the plant necessarily die? Usually no. But we don't want to see damage here. We want perfection.
We do want perfection. We are all about perfection here at Bates Nursery and Garden Center.
But at the same time, we also understand that plants are not perfect, nor are we. And there are
Which is why we always need a prune.
Some sort of flaw with everybody.
Perfection with exceptions.
Exactly. It's nature,
Perfect,
y'all.
Yeah.
It's like a little spot on a leaf or a few spots on leaves. People will be like, oh, it's got to be a pathogen. It's certainly dead, whatever. And it's like, well,
it's okay.
I've got a random mole on my arm.
That doesn't mean you're dead.
Perfect.
Not yet. Not
it
yet.
might kill me later, but right now I'm good.
Well, it does seem like there's either people who are one leaf drops or one leaf starts to yellow, which happens all the time. And they're like, my plant is dying. What's going on?
Exactly.
Whereas on the other hand, people will bring in basically a stick that's never been watered and be like, is there hope? And it's been dead for 2 years. So
That is a good point.
it's hard to know your plants. Like, and I thought I knew a lot about plants before I started working here. And I quickly realized like, I had a lot to learn and I still do. Like you're always learning when you're with plants. Like it's always changing.
That is most definite.
Speaking of sticks, okay, y'all.
Okay.
I went crazy and I chopped my loquat
Okay.
because it was just like 6 feet tall with just a tiny little.
I remember you were mad at it being so tall.
Yeah, it was a tiny little bushel of limbs. It wasn't really limbing out very much.
Another great reason to prune.
Yes.
Hatred.
Yes.
Hatred.
It was bothering me.
Yes.
And it's like, and there's, so I chopped it. It's currently like completely lifeless looking in a pot in my greenhouse, and I have yet to see life from it. But
It will. When did you chop it?
a couple months ago.
It'll be fine. I cut a fiddle leaf fig. I defoliated it and just cut it in half. So it was literally just a stick that was 2 feet tall in a pot. I did that in September. It did not show any signs of life until probably late March, early April.
Yep.
And then it started pushing, and now it's a beautiful tree again.
That's what I'm waiting on.
Yeah, it'll
also,
happen.
some a lesser outcome known situation is my Barbie pink guava. Sorry, I'm recalling all these names. And that went completely brown. It might have gotten too dry.
I bet it'll flush back out.
And yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking too. I'm still watering it, still like letting it sit, but all the leaves are brown on it. Yeah. But I'm not going to do anything until I really know that there's no signs of life.
Yeah. We actually got a call yesterday about a Bandavia. Somebody had left it out just when it got a little bit of frost and it got zapped. And they were like, we need to know if it's dead. All the leaves are brown, but we think it's okay. But at this time of year, you kind of just have to wait. So if you've got a plant that's been suffering and looks like it might be dead, it's probably not. It just has gone dormant. And once it warms up, you can stick it outside. Mm-hmm. I do want to wrap back around to us talking about the greenhouse because I have a question for Austin. So we have flowering quince in bloom in the greenhouse right now, looking gorgeous. And this morning I was back there with Ben Trest, who we've had on the show before. Love him.
Benny.
And he said, Caroline, I'm going to say it. I think the flowering quince is better than rose blooms.
Oh.
Ben, Austin, how does that make you feel?
I mean, I like Ben and all.
Uh-oh.
That's blasphemy. That is a horticultural atrocity to say that quince of all things, a big round blobby old flowering shrub in the spring that your grandma grew back in the 40s.
Listen, I grew up with one and it was gorgeous.
Yeah, we all did. It was great for 2 weeks.
It's kind of like I could see it being called like the poor man's rose.
I guess.
It's so easy to grow. It's like a weed. It really is like a weed. You can't kill it.
No, I know that. It's a big bundle of crazy, and it's not a rose by roses. Okay, high petal count, extremely floriferous beauty. There's books been written about roses. A whole book written about roses. Ain't nobody writing books about quince.
Oh, I'm sure there's a book about a quince.
There's not a book about a quince.
Tyler, get on Google.
Tyler, get your people.
It's
on
probably
board.
just like a referential short story, maybe like a Southern Gothic tale.
There's a little excerpt in a Southern Garden magazine. That's all quince
I bet
gets.
there's a lot of folklore tales about quince.
Maybe.
It's a fairy
like
plant.
I said, it's a little excerpt in a book. It's not a whole book. There's been like 4,000 books written on roses. Like from the beginning of time.
I knew this would get you heated. I just wanted to see.
There's
what
also-
See why you did this. It's too early for this, Caroline. I cannot believe he would say that. Was he serious?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go find
Y'all
him right
gonna
now.
go-
Ben on the
Y'all
horn
gonna
right
have
now.
words.
Let's get him in here.
I'm gonna have words, yeah, real soon. I'll call him right now if you want me to. Bring him in.
Bring him on the
We'll
radio.
We'll call him out.
I will say though, flowering quince, the flower is gorgeous.
Yeah, the flower's
I
pretty.
mean, there's nothing wrong with the flower. It's so pretty.
There's nothing wrong with any flower, though. I mean, I love pretty much all flowers.
Oh no, there's some flowers you hate.
I mean, I'm annoyed by some flowers, but like flowers are pretty, and that's what we live for. Like if you grow plants, for the most part, that's what I live for. You know?
Yeah.
Like I ain't about no green. Like leaves, so cool. No, I want.
Oh, I'm
blooms.
about leaves on stuff. What's wrong with you? I mean, flowers are great too.
I mean, I'm not talking about like for everything, Caroline. Like, yeah, there's some foliage plants that are cool. Like begonias are cool. You know, they got a lot of cool stuff about them. But I'm about that bloom. That's what we live
I
for.
know. You're
And
about
roses,
that pink bloom.
Roses are the epitome of. We give roses to our loved ones in bouquets, for Christ's sake.
I'm going to start giving Quince flowers to my loved ones. It might cut them a
No,
little
you're
bit.
not, because they'll throw them back at you.
Oh, my gosh. Hey, I planted a Quince. I planted 2 Quince on Monday. Speaking of.
I've got one that's going somewhere.
Austin,
No,
You don't know where it's going.
No.
Austin hates this conversation right now. He is closing his eyes with his hands on his forehead, thumbs going up above his eyeballs, and just
now
shaking
dragging
his head.
down to the
Eyeballs.
side. He's kind of doing
Listen,
it.
you didn't have to point out that I said eyeball roll. Thanks a lot. All of our listeners are making fun of me now on their commute to wherever they're going. But I love Quince. Planted some. Planted a hawthorn. Planted a mulberry. You hate them
So
all.
what are you up
You
to?
don't
Like
hate-
50 now? Plants planted?
Probably
60?
maybe more than that. Planted some heuchera. The blooms on heuchera are cute, yes, and they're great for cut flower bouquets. If you haven't done that before, gorgeous and stunning.
Austin, what do you know about a fairy garden, man?
A lot. I know plenty of fairies.
Well, then you need those dainty little heuchera blooms in your life.
I know, I get it. And it's a great point with the cut flowers. I did not know that till last year you told me that. And like they are dainty and cute above. I'm just not like, yeah, in an arrangement. I'm happy with it, okay? It's,
Well,
it's
they're
like
not good
filler
by themselves,
plants.
but like up above the flowers in your arrangement, my gosh.
No, I was talking about the heuchera in general. Like it's just leaves, you know, like it's not like my thing. And like the blooms like on the plant are tiny and all that cool. In an arrangement, I'll give you that. They are kind of nice.
Yeah, I love heuchera.
I know you do.
Yeah.
We talked about that
everybody
on the
does.
show this past week.
We did. We talked about a lot of stuff on the show, which I bet all of our listeners are ready to get into.
It's probably time. We've been talking a while this morning.
We do.
Yep.
You know
We're
what?
happy.
With
It's springy.
spring, we want to talk all about the plants. So we had the three of us, Adam Chapman and David Bates, on the show this week.
David was back.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
I'm sure that Austin and Caroline have got things they want to interject here. So, guys, what say ye about that?
We always have things we want to interject.
Oh, yeah.
Right now, the tables that we built are heavy on my mind. We finished the cacti succulent aisle that I talked about last week. We brought up some photos. It wasn't quite done yet. Austin and I had been working on that for about a week. And there it is. Wow.
Beautiful.
Look at that.
We got tables, we got floating shelves. It actually holds more than the shelves that were there before and looks a million times better.
And it frees up a lot of aisle space also because the nature of those stair-step metal racks is they just stick out so far. So it's much better use of our space, and it really sets off the look of the cacti and succulents nicely. Beautifully done. Great job, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm
It was
very
a fun-
proud of that.
You should be
Proud of
proud of
us.
that.
We did great. You decorated it great. We
Thank
got
you.
the spots where it's tall, where it's short, all the good stuff. So all the cacti, the coolest cacti really that we sell.
The specimen.
The
Yeah.
specimens. Only the specimens go on that table.
Yeah. And it's my favorite aisle. And the metal racks that were there are great for other things, but just didn't really work aesthetically for that, or also really to keep a lot of cacti and succulents on that shelf and on the aisle. So finally having something that looks really, really good right there, it makes me so happy. And getting to design where all the plants went. I did think about it really hard. Spent most of the day yesterday
It looks
putting
like
them
you
up
did.
there.
It looks good.
Well, I put them in sections. I've got like the euphorbia together, like the cereus all together. You know, you got to keep it all
Together.
together. That's right.
Yeah.
And keep yourself together while
Keep
you
it
do
together,
it. Yes,
people.
keep it
Yep.
together, everybody.
Well, you had to keep it together a little bit yesterday because you were pulling orders just like all of us were. Because this,
I think I had about 20 houseplant orders.
I know. It makes me realize that people are starting to say, like, it is almost spring. So they were cooped up in their house for 2 days, and they're like, you know what? I'm getting online, and I'm going to buy these plants
gonna
online.
go shopping.
I'm going to make the Bates employees go get them for me,
Yep.
and I'm going to have them ready. And you were doing that yesterday, pulling orders, and it
I
just,
was.
like I said, we've got that fever, I feel
Spring
like.
fever. You know what's
We got
funny
the
is
fever.
I got on the website and I started shopping. And I was
Caroline,
like, why
you can't do that. Okay, Tyler, we need to make a rule. Caroline's not allowed on the website to buy stuff. She's here all the time buying stuff, so
Austin-
you can't do it at home.
She has access to the internet, man.
No,
I
we
do.
know.
You can't block me.
Somehow
You
block that,
cannot
Tyler.
block me.
Tyler, you know how to do all the tech stuff. Do that. Make it
Tyler,
happen.
do not block me from shopping on our
Yes,
website.
we're gonna have to. You got a problem.
But I had some stuff in the cart that I emptied it. I was like, what am I doing?
Yeah,
I don't
sitting
need
at home
this.
shopping.
What else was I supposed to do? It was too cold to go outside in the snow.
Well, that's what the other people thought. That's why we had 90 web orders. It
Thank
was
you to
great.
everybody who got stuff during the snow days. It gave us another thing to do the last few days here at the nursery.
Yeah.
Okay, Caroline, Austin, I
We're
know
here.
the questions are over there.
We do have some questions, but we've got some comments coming in. We got a comment on Twitch from the Horticulturalist, which I love the name.
right.
It's spelled Hoard in the name. Sounds like me hoarding all those plants, just like me shopping on our website. I just missed the plants so much. That's why I was doing it. But they say, hi, doing Pilates while watching you guys. That sounds like
hello.
an amazing morning.
Awesome. Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you for watching. Thank you
Yes.
for commenting.
appreciate
That's our
use of
first Twitch
time.
comment. So you get a gold star for today.
You get a gold star for doing Pilates.
Yeah,
We're all
this
just
early in the
sitting
morning.
here.
Oh, there.
Hey, Tyler. He's here all day.
We'll do some group Pilates after the program. So
No, we won't.
maybe we will. I don't know. All right. Well,
Thanks
let's.
for the welcome back, Jane.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Yes.
David, it is very nice to have you back.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Very
indeed.
strange when you're not here.
I am grateful to be here. Actually, I'm grateful to be anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and dive into some questions. We do have a few this morning. We have a lot about vegetables, but let's start with the gardenia question.
No.
Any tips for keeping gardenias alive? They are hardy to zone 7, but I struggle with them in Nashville.
Move to Atlanta.
Move
South
to
Carolina's
Atlanta.
nice.
They're just very marginal here. I mean, they'll do fine if we don't get certain things that the weather does, but
Well, yeah. I mean, they're just. You would have to build little. I mean, the only way I could think to do it would be to build literal little bitty greenhouses, like boxes that you set over each one of them over
Yeah.
the winter. They're just they can't. We get too cold here in the winter. If it gets below 10 degrees, they're going to burn for sure.
Yes.
now shout out to my mom. She's had one for years. Now, she might not have it anymore. She might have finally left it outside. But she keeps hers in a pot. So she brings it in the winter.
Yeah, certainly
puts it out.
that's doable for sure. Yeah.
But like Adam says, even like when you're talking, like even the tags on gardenias say like 10 and under, not good. Like it's not to that zone. So what you see a lot of times is the old growth on gardenia looks bad right now. I even saw one the other day, and it was like pretty much every leaf that was left on it was burned. Like just awful. It did not look good. Almost even the word is crispy. Almost not quite there, but almost there. So what you have to do if you want gardenia and you want to wait it out, which is kind of what you have to do, those old leaves are going to kind of look horrible, honestly, until like honestly, what, mid-April to even May probably.
Yeah.
And then you might see a reflush of new leaves, which is what you're playing for. But don't expect your gardenia to look great over the winter time, even if it does live, which is, we're on the line here.
Marginal.
But if it does live, it's not going to look just beautiful through the whole winter time here. It's just not. Like Adam said, go to Atlanta, go to South Carolina. It's nice.
Move. Take your gardenia and get out. Just kidding. Don't get out.
No,
Stay
no,
here. You
don't
just
do
have to
that.
try
Don't
a
do
little
that.
bit harder. And I have to do that with some of my plants, and that's okay. That's why we garden. We got a comment from Carol on YouTube saying it was my first time shopping online, and it was so fun. Not to mention the
what?
savings.
Not to
Caroline.
The
mention
shavings
The
off
family
of
show.
her
Shavings.
total. That's what I was saying.
Oh, the savings on
yes,
okay.
yes.
I
The
okay.
savings, exactly.
Yes, great work.
Good work, Carol.
I wonder
Good.
what-
It's fun
Oh,
to
yeah.
online shop.
Carol, what did
I
you buy?
tried it.
I want to know. Carol, come back and tell us. I want to know exactly what you bought.
Yeah, Carol, get back in these comments
tell
and
us.
let us know. We want to know. We need to know. And I bet you guys are itching to know the next question.
Let's hear it.
Am I supposed to trim lavender?
Well,
I trim my. I have a lot of lavender. Some I trim back once it gets unruly because it does get. For mine, it gets very sparse on the inside. Like I'll have new growth up top, but then if I let it keep growing, all the dead stuff is on the inside, on the interior. So I will give mine a trim back just because it looks better and to me it's healthier. I trimmed mine back not too long ago.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, you nailed it. Like, that's what you get, is you get a lot of top growth and not a lot of interior growth. So I've had lavender in the past, too, to where a lot of times over the wintertime here, lavender, we stay a little wet for lavender. Let's be
Mine
honest.
looks great right now.
Yeah, and a lot of times that you cut yours back, though. I mean, and it's, you know.
I didn't cut that one back.
No, that one's still chilling.
That was still chilling.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
You're welcome.
So, but for the most part, like, it's going to, a lot of times lavender looks a little ratty. So just giving it a straight up, just chop back to the earth, let new stuff come from the roots, you'll see a lot cleaner plant next spring if you do that. But if you want to leave your lavender up and it's big and you kind of like it that way and it's okay that it's a little bit sparse on the interior, then you can leave it.
Yeah.
Like,
Mine is showing off right now. I sent a picture to Ben and Bridget a couple weeks ago because I've got it planted in front of some Northwind switchgrass, and that Northwind switchgrass is still up, and then I have lavender in the windows. And so I've got the switchgrass that's, dead up top, but then this lavender that's still this beautiful silvery green color, and then I have creeping thyme all around
Nice.
it. It's a nice little bed.
Cool.
It's spilling over the little wall that I made. I'm proud of me for that one. And you guys should be proud of me too.
And we are.
Thank you. I was waiting for you to say that, Adam.
We are.
All right, Adam, what would you say to any advice for deterring deer and squirrels?
Well, my normal answer is for squirrels.
Is it shoo? Is that what you try to do? Is it
Shoot.
go away?
That's helpful.
Is it? Get out of here. What are you doing?
Well, for squirrels, there's an outdoor cat that'll keep most squirrels away.
Yeah.
And air rifle. Traps maybe. Squirrels are,
Yeah.
Squirrels are
they're tree rats, and
That's a cute way of putting it.
I tell you what, those traps work because I was trying to trap some rats at my property.
Where's the Tyler
and you
camera?
got squirrels instead.
Yeah, and I got
I told you.
not just
They're tree
not
rats.
just one, but the same one twice. They really wanted to get in there because they just love. They don't care.
Did he say anything the second time? Did he look abashed? Maybe a little embarrassed?
He's embarrassed.
Maybe
yeah.
a little bit of shame if a squirrel could show shame, but mostly let me out of here,
Right,
and I'm gonna
right.
come back later. If you
Well,
don't
as far
stop
as
me.
deer go, for the rest of the question, you can use repellents like liquid fence and that kind of thing. Actually, I heard from a longtime friend and customer and of baits that you can use blood meal as a repellent for deer as well. They just anything that has a very sharp smell.
Yeah.
Their olfactory senses are very, very sensitive. So a lot of people use soap. I've heard mixed,
Ivory soap.
Yeah, or I think it's Irish Spring. I think is what they usually
Oh, I
recommend.
have heard that. Yeah.
But if you're
shaved.
going to use repellents, the biggest thing is to make sure that you reapply if it rains.
And wash it away.
It's really what you're doing is you're training them. If they come to your property and they smell that 3 or 4 times in a row, they'll likely move on. But if they come once, it's there. If they come the next time, it's not there. They're just going to walk right on in. So
They're going to say, hey, I'm going to come munch on all of your
Correct.
landscaping. You planted me a buffet.
well, of course. I mean, that's
what they see.
That's
it
what I
as.
would think if I was a deer.
Beautiful
Sure.
buffet. Hey, Pam on Facebook says, I'm thinking of planting tons of lavender in between my wall of white hydrangea to get rid of deer. Any variety you would suggest. I grow phenomenal lavender.
Yep.
That's what I have the best of luck with. And I actually put our Earth Mix Enlighten in the bottom of it. It's the expanded shale to help with drainage. And I find that they do way better than they did when I did not do that. So that's my favorite variety.
Probably the hardiest variety that we sell anyway. There's
Yeah.
another one they came out with called Sensational. There's all these great names, phenomenal, sensational. And honestly, they have been, though. I mean, really, they have been. Now, you helping with drainage certainly helped, I think. A heavy clay, wet scenario is not the spot for lavender. But I tell you, Pam, lavender out in front of white hydrangea.
It's going to be stunning.
Money, Pam.
Yes, Pam.
Good work.
I love that. Hey, Colin said,
Hey, Cole.
Colin, I was wondering what your comment Lifebuoy meant, but you said Lifebuoy soap. I don't know what that is.
Lifebuoy soap. Hey,
Sounds great,
Colin
Colin.
knows what it is. Look, we trust Colin. If
David,
he
do
says
you know what
Lifebuoy
that
is a
is?
soap.
I've never heard of that. Whatever that is,
I
but
have.
I will be looking it up. I will be Googling it.
David said
after
he's
the
heard of
show.
it. David, what is it?
It's Life Buoy, not
Buoy?
B-O-Y.
Lifebuoy soap.
Gotcha.
Interesting. Well, I'll have to
It
do a
must
little
be very
research.
fragrant.
A British brand of soap marketed by Unilever.
Oh, thanks, Tyler.
There we
Tyler
go.
is
Right
so
on
fast
cue.
at Googling.
Uh-huh.
It's incredible. Hey, Carol got back to us about what she got
What'd
on
she
the
get?
online shopping extravaganza. 1 strawberry limelight and 3
Sweet.
echinacea.
There you go.
Right
Well,
up my alley.
money.
I love it.
Money.
Power right there. All right, tips on growing carrots.
Carrots.
Got to have deep,
Deep and loose.
loose soil.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And
Yep.
there is a soil that's really good
There
for
is.
that. And I mentioned last week and it's very similar in my garden beds, my raised garden beds that I have Earth Mix Garden in. I was able for the first time ever in my life to pull up dandelions.
Oh, yeah, you said that.
The whole root came up out.
Whoa.
Same thing with carrots.
Exactly.
If you got a soil that's like that, you can grow carrots in it.
Yep, there is nothing worse than trying to pull a carrot and snapping off half of it.
Oh
in
my
the
gosh,
earth.
it's so sad.
It is.
My dogs love
Well-
carrots that I grow. They don't eat them from the grocery store, but if I grow them, they eat them like crazy. Gardening Inside Out is brought to you by Earth Mix Garden Products, creating regionally sourced high-quality soil blends and amendments for the sustainable-minded gardener. Fall and winter are great times to plant in the Southeast, and Earth Mix can help you with Landscape Soil Conditioner. Mix landscape with your native soil to feed all winter long. Added mycorrhizal fungi help your plants get established faster and increase hardiness through the year ahead. Visit earthmix.net for more information and retailers near you. Remember, success begins at the ground level when you use Earth Mix Garden Products. Hey, Colin says on Facebook, I heard the Earth Mix commercial on NPR yesterday around rush hour. Nice work, Tyler.
Hey.
Oh, yeah.
Tyler.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Got to get that messaging out. Got to let them know the good stuff's there.
You're doing it.
Also, if you're on Instagram in the Nashville area, you will see an advertisement for delivery of Super Sack Earth Mix.
Oh, is it
And bulk.
out? That's exciting.
Yeah.
Featuring
did a
We
little-
did not have a year ago.
Yeah, I did a little ride along with DC, and we did a customer delivery. It went fairly smoothly, and got some footage of that. So that's out there too.
I can't wait to see it.
I know, that was great.
I haven't seen it, so yeah.
I saw a
wanna
rough
see it.
edit of it, but I haven't seen the finished product.
Nice.
Tyler, did you put music to it? Some awesome, like, ride-along music?
I did in the private version, but no, not this one.
Hey, Bill is asking a question on YouTube. This is a question right up Austin's alley.
No.
Bill says, good morning. I planted some climbing roses last year for the first time. When and how far should I prune them back? And then
Okay.
thank you.
So climbing roses get very tall typically in the season, okay? So we are generally going to do some pruning, but let's still wait on that a little bit. What we've seen is some really cold temps below 10 degrees, and we talked about this, kind of that number, below 10 degrees down into 0, we've seen that. So what you might see is some tip dieback from the top of those climbing roses. So we want to kind of see, Bill, where like the freeze damage happened on those, and that'll kind of tell us where to prune. I was reading actually a rose book that I've got not too long ago, and a lot of the rosarians are talking about, waiting until really we start to see almost the crack of new growth. I mean, honestly, you see kind of where that happens from along those green stems. The first key is we do want green stems, okay? So if you're seeing off-color, dead, dying or diseased wood, we want to go ahead and get rid of that. We really want the nice green canes. And then let's see where that dieback happened from, and then where that happened from, and you see new growth, then you'll cut right atop of that. And you'll have another climbing rose for this season. There's hardly anything better than a climbing rose when it's going and it's happy, right?
That's the
Very
key,
true.
when it's happy.
Right.
And it's
Right.
hard to keep them happy here.
It is. It takes effort.
It does take effort. Although I know you guys are probably tired of me talking about it, but my Carefree Wonder, that's the rose that I don't have to do much
So
to.
tired of you talking about it.
I know, right, Adam? So tired of hearing about that. Hey, but Mary is asking a question about lavender. So just to go back around to that, Mary says,
Mary.
what lavender you have, and is it in the ground or a pot? I know I already answered that. It's phenomenal, but all of mine is in the ground. I find it does better. But it's in areas that I raised up. So I've got it in one spot on either side of my sidewalk by my driveway. It's a bed that's like piled up. So it gets a lot of heat from the sidewalk and the driveway, but it's also up high. And the other one is another bed that I built up. I found when I planted them just in ground in a bed that I
Not
didn't
good.
raise, not good.
Nope.
It held too much moisture and they kind of rotted. So in the ground, but lifted up, I would say.
One
is the
thing
best
to
way go
remember
for it.
is lavender is a Mediterranean plant and native to the Mediterranean, and they have lots of sandy soils there, very well drained soil.
Definitely.
And we don't.
Yeah. So you got to
so-
make it drain well.
Yeah.
Yep.
You got to do it yourself. Raise it up, put some rocks underneath, and it will be great. All right. I'm interested in growing sunchokes. Will you guys stock tubers this year, or do you have any recommendations? We don't usually keep that. And I don't think I've ever seen us sell it. I have some friends that grow it. Now, I will say, once you plant it,
You
get
got
ready
it.
to have it forever.
You got it.
I have two friends who have tried to dig it up and get rid of it. They gave me some. I sat with it for a while, and then I never planted it because I was like, I don't know. I know. And I have lots of land, but I was still kind of scared of how much it was going to take over. Now, if you don't know what we're talking about, this is a plant that looks a lot like a sunflower. They get huge. You can have like a whole wall of them, and then you dig them up, and people use the tubers. You can eat them. You can cook them and eat them. So
But is it worth it? Because they are aggressive, to say
they
the
are
least.
good, though.
I guess. They're too good as plants, though. They are a weedy mess, kind of.
They are a little bit of a beautiful weedy mess that is edible, but I would say your best bet is to find someone who's growing them, and they will probably be more than happy to let you dig them up. Maybe some of our viewers or listeners on the podcast have some that they're growing.
Have any of you guys ever eaten any of them?
I have not.
I have. Very earthy taste.
Tastes like dirt.
I didn't love it, but it wasn't
like
bad.
Any other tuber? Or, I mean, is it like
it has
rutabaga? Or
it's got more of a flavor than like potatoes or something. But yeah, it's not something that I really feel like I need to eat a lot. So.
Or ever again.
Or ever again. I mean, I might if it was around, but no.
In the apocalypse, you might?
In the apocalypse, I might do it, but I won't have them growing, because I never planted them.
Well, there you go.
Well, the good thing is, if there is an apocalypse, they will still grow.
They will still grow. So maybe grow them if you want some food, just in case. Just in case something happens.
There you go.
All right, what's a container vegetable that can handle full sun and is drought tolerant?
Oh, gosh.
Container veggie, I would say peppers.
Peppers would be what comes to mind. Yeah.
That would be perfect. I mean, honestly, drought resistant is
sunchokes. Yeah. There you go.
There you
we
go.
just talked about them. Can't kill them. Ugh. Put them in a container. They'll be more contained in that container. They won't spread.
Yep.
A lot of people like to grow potatoes in containers.
I love it.
Do that and like raise them up. People use like old like car tires. Have y'all seen this?
I've seen that. I've used dog food bags.
Yeah, you can use a lot of things. Potatoes are kind of fun to do.
Thing.
Well, because also too, whenever they're done and they're finished, you just dump it out and you got all your potatoes. You don't have to dig. No shovel needed in our heavy clay. Loosen up that soil with our garden.
Well, I
use car tires. Make such a great statement.
They're aesthetically beautiful.
Oh yeah.
Yes, just like the dog food bags.
Well, I use incidentally, I use Proganics O outdoor for my pots with the potatoes.
With the taters. That's what I used last year. We did get a question that says tips on growing potatoes and sweet potatoes in Tennessee. So let's just dive into it a little bit more.
Once again, what Adam hit on earlier, it's same with carrots. Let's make our soil loose as we can, okay? We're okay with growing potatoes here in the ground, but it is very helpful to loosen your soil. Any of those root crops, y'all, you're not going to get a beautiful round potato like you want in our heavy clay soils. They're gonna get funky. They're gonna get weird. Like, you've seen those carrots are the same way. They'll get funky little arms on them with the heavy clay.
Cool. So they look like little people when you pull them up like that.
Loosen it up a little bit. Hey, look up lasagna gardening. That's kind of cool for growing potatoes. I did that in college at our organic vegetable farm at MTSU, and it was a really cool thing where you layer up a bunch of different like compost blends, more or less, and you make this super loose environment, and you throw the potatoes right down in there, and it made a great little bed.
Yeah. When I met my husband, that's what he was doing. I didn't know anything about it.
It's
and
so
he taught
easy.
me all about lasagna gardening.
I mean, I say it's
easy. And now
easy.
he doesn't really garden anymore.
Well, it's somewhat expensive,
Look
like
what
on the front end.
Caroline.
I think he was like, well, she's going to do it all, so I don't need to.
But yeah, look it up. I mean, seriously, it made like the nicest, most beautiful big potatoes that I've ever grown.
Growing potatoes is so fun.
It
I
is.
do the thing where you keep on piling the soil up, and once I see the little leaves come up, I put more on top. And then when you get to dump it out, if you grow it in a container, it's so exciting.
Yeah.
I did that with my dogs the fall. I dumped out my potatoes. They helped me dig through it. I mean, they weren't looking for potatoes. They
No.
were just excited about soil being all over the place.
Free
But-
labor.
Yeah.
And then I kept finding it. It would rain because I just left a pile of dirt where I dumped it out for a little while.
Yes.
But the little potatoes would roll out every so often. I'd be like, look, I missed some. There they are.
Well, let's talk about why you do that in the first, like why we talk about potatoes and building up soil more so around the stems. Okay, potatoes are extremely closely related to tomatoes, and if you know tomatoes at all, any stem that gets close to the dirt or even above the dirt, it will root from that.
Yeah.
So potatoes are no different. So if you strip off those lower leaves of the potato and you build up soil around it, what happens is it roots even more, and then what happens when you get more roots?
More potatoes.
More potatoes.
More
so that's why
taters.
we mound them up. People have always talked about mounding your potatoes, and that's what we're talking about. And great practice to do.
Yes, it is. That's a good tip you talk about in the summer when it's time to plant tomatoes. But if you're wondering, Austin talks a lot about planting them even deeper than when you get your little starts from the nursery. A lot of people will just put that in the ground at the same level. But yeah, strip those leaves and bury them deep, then you'll have even stronger roots.
You know what happens a lot of times if you have go ahead, David.
And if you have a lot of old tires, this is a great way. You can just stack them up and continue to fill it
Back
with
around
soil.
to the tires.
And it too is a great landscape statement.
Yes. Yes.
There's something
I
I'm
love
not
it.
sure what.
You can paint little murals on the tires.
That's what
you
we
can
gotta
make
do.
them colorful, You could do something nice. I don't have any tires that I'm gardening in. Maybe I need to start that too.
You know what we're going to do? We're going to set up some tires for David, a stack of them. And we're going to put Bates Nursery all across. Like, we're going to make them beautiful.
Are we?
Right at the front.
Right at the front.
David, what do you think?
You can put lipstick on a pig, but
we may need to think about that.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that after the broadcast.
Okay.
Hey, Colin says, if
Colin.
there isn't a Kev video, I volunteer as a tribute to purchase a delivery for Supernatural.
Oh, gosh.
So it looks like you're going. And then before that, he just asked, is there a Kev delivery video?
I mean, we can make that happen, Colin.
You can make that happen.
Oh, we can.
Absolutely.
push
And
it
then
to the limit.
Push it to the limit. And then Joyce says, your delivery guy is awesome.
Yeah.
So that would
Joyce.
be DC or Paul. Paul might have been your delivery
Paul's-
guy.
Or
Those
Jim.
are our
Paul is
two.
great. Could've
Or
been
Jim.
Jim.
Or
yeah.
Jim.
Jim is like the knight. I rarely see him. He comes in early. He does his job amazingly. Like he blows in.
We've got a great delivery guy staff.
We
We do.
really do.
Different personalities, but they're all great.
Mm-hmm.
Really nice
Jim
folks.
is kind of the stealth delivery guy.
He is.
Yes.
He slips in and slips out, and you almost don't know he's here.
He is so
very
strong
efficient.
too. It is wild.
He's what, like 73 years old or something like that. And he's still just out
you
there
wouldn't
killing it.
guess that by
Incredible.
looking at him. Yeah, it is. He's pretty impressive, y'all.
Yep.
Pretty impressive. So you might have had one of those three. They're all equally amazing.
Joyce said Jim.
Oh
Jim.
yeah, Jim.
Everybody loves Jim. Jim's a great guy.
His eyes also twinkle. Shout out Jim if you're watching.
He's a sweet man.
Love him.
Twinkle eyes.
Twinkle eyes. All right, another vegetable question. I started some tomato and pepper seeds indoors and they are doing great. When can I transplant them into the ground or do I need to put them in bigger pots first?
Depends on the size of the starting pot that you got them in, but certainly you want to wait until the soil temperature is up. I would say minimum middle of April. I mean, it depends on the weather, but you want the soil temperatures to be up there.
And for those keeping score at home, that's 2 months away.
Correct. Correct. So if you've already got them coming up, watch them closely. You may have to transplant them into something a little bigger. It just depends on the weather.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And like David just said, we've got time, y'all, before we're actually going to set them out in the ground. On these warm days, if you do put them in bigger containers, like getting them out with that natural sunlight and getting them acclimated on those, 60 or plus days, like that's very helpful to keep a good, sturdy seedling. Like that's kind of what we want. We don't want to start putting something out in our bed that's like this gangly, leggy little thing. We need it beefy and looking good. So if you can get it into a bigger container and move it out into the sunlight, it's going to be helpful for it. But yeah, we still got time before it's actually going in the dirt around here.
And this is where I think it's worth taking a moment just to reiterate the importance of when you're germinating garden seeds inside, you need to keep it in high light and low temperatures. You want to, the most easy mistake to make is to have it in a sunny spot that is quite warm, and they germinate and they get spindly. And that almost certainly spells doom for them. Now, one thing you can do is to transplant them, out of the seed flat into a larger pot and plant them very deep. But unless you change the conditions they're growing in, that's going to happen yet again. So it's very much about keeping the conditions right. If you could keep the nighttime temperatures where it would get down into the lower 40s, where it's chilly, not
cold.
freezing, but chilly. You really want that to be the case so that they grow very slowly. They get a very much thicker stem, and it also bides your time because you've got to wait 2 months before you go out with them. So you need to have time for them to come along slowly and to have thick, strong stems. If you do that, you'll have great success. If you don't do it, you'll find out very quickly because they'll be flopping before you know it.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Yep. So
Nobody wants that. Hey, I missed a question. I can't believe I missed this. That
What?
came in on Facebook from Debbie.
Hey, Deb.
Your favorite climber? Not white.
Oh, favorite climbing rose?
Yes.
That's got to be New Dawn, I think.
Yeah.
It's
New
such a good
Dawn's,
rose.
What color is New Dawn?
It's a soft pink.
Blush. Very, very blush pink.
Soft
Yeah.
pink. But really, when it comes to a performer, it's
Now
a great performer.
There is New Dawn white. as
is.
well.
Uh-huh.
So.
Yeah, that's why when you said New Dawn, I was like, isn't that white? So
Yeah, no, I mean, the classic New Dawn Rose is such a disease-resistant and just excellent rose. I mean, it really, really is. Good performance around here. A heavy bloom production, usually at least 2 full blooms a season, sometimes 3 if you're lucky. But it's just a climbing machine, and it's our best seller still to this day, I'd say, because of its disease resistance and just vigor. So New Dawn is probably my favorite climbing rose. Not necessarily my favorite color. I mean, I love light pink, fine. There's other ones that are cool.
What do you mean you love light pink fine? You love pink flowers.
I do, but not necessarily light pink. It's not enough.
It's not loud enough.
It's not
your
loud enough.
personality.
Not dark
You need it to be like,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But as a performer, New Dawn, try it out.
Dawn.
Additional support for Gardening Inside Out is brought to you by Bates Nursery and Garden Center, a third-generation nursery located in Nashville, Tennessee, and 20-time recipient for Nashville's Best Garden Center, offering the widest selection of new arrivals for fall, like specimen conifers, Japanese maples, and pansies in nearly every color. Open year-round, minutes from the heart of Nashville in beautiful Whites Creek, Tennessee. Browse their selection online anytime at batesnursery.com. Bates Nursery and Garden Center, beautifying Nashville since 1932.
We forgot something, and I bet y'all are waiting.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was waiting with
But we
bated,
also
with
we're
bated breath.
Yeah, we're missing an element of that.
Oh, Tyler.
Do you want to do it?
Like I said, the GOAT. All right. So I thought I wanted to talk about a person, and I didn't want to say a person is the GOAT, okay? Because there's so many of y'all. All right. So I thought of a new acronym last night for GOAT, and this is for our listeners. I wrote some down, okay? Jane, Donna, Pam, Cherry, Sherry, and Paul, shout out, Joyce, always, Risha, Chris, Colin Lee, and Sam Boyette. All of you are GOATs to me. Now, what do I mean when I say GOATs? You are gardeners of all things. There it is. Got it?
Oh,
G-O-A-T.
yeah.
Gardeners of all
Gardeners
things.
of
All
all
of y'all
things.
fans, love y'all so much. Thank you. But I am going to be talking about a specific someone that is near and dear to my heart, and her name is Shirley Hood. I met Shirley years ago when I came out to prune her Japanese maple for her. Okay, she had this cool weeping Crimson Queen Japanese maple. And what we did, she's a British woman, she's hilarious and really, really nice woman, okay? We came to her house. We literally did a little dance around her Japanese maple. We
Wow.
cleaned it together. I don't dance for just anybody, but for
you
Shirley,
don't. I know that.
we just walked around probably 4 or 5 times just cleaning out this Japanese maple together. It was brilliant. And then I realized she's got a lovely, lovely garden, okay? Some really cool stuff that you just don't see. So what happened? I just made a friend that day. I made a gardening friend that day, Shirley Hood, and we walked around her yard. She had a cool Washington hawthorn. She got a deciduous azalea that was like 7 feet tall. I mean, beautiful.
Wow.
All sorts of different stuff. And unfortunately, Shirley, 5 years ago, your husband passed away. I'm so sorry about this. And he was an avid gardener. You told me this. And he would bring you plants. You said you would plant them and you'd watch them, and that was great. And 5 years ago, your GOAT of an evergreen shade-loving plant, your Pieris. Okay. Now, Adam, I know where you stand on this, okay?
Right.
Pieris is not everybody's favorite for Middle
Yeah.
Tennessee, okay? But it is the GOAT for the patient gardener, okay? And that's what Shirley is. 5 years ago, your Pieris bloomed for you, and this was the year your husband died. This year, you've waited 5 years. 5 years, Shirley, you waited, and you sent me a picture. We don't have it today, whatever. But everybody knows Pieris is great. You sent me a picture. It's been 5 years since it bloomed, and it is in bloom this year. So if you want to grow something that's a little bit tricky, a little bit hard, but worth it whenever it blooms, grow Pieris for that semi-shade kind of environment. Hers was big, and I saw multiple on her property. This just goes to show you that, like, you plant one in this one spot, and you plant 2 or 3 in other spots, and those 2 or 3 may not do great. But this one, if it takes, hers was like 8 foot tall, and it was fantastic. It was beautiful. Shirley,
Goodness.
it was so good, and it is in bloom this year. And this gives me hope that this Shirley is going to be one of the most beautiful springs we're going to have because your Pieris bloomed. There you go. You're the GOAT. All of y'all are GOATs. Pieris is the GOAT for the shade. All you GOATs, just keep grazing that pasture of flowers, okay? Love y'all.
Yes, keep on grazing. I did see that
Get it?
picture. just to talk about it a little bit, and it was stunning.
It's stunning.
Yeah, the picture she emailed
And
to
8 foot
you.
tall Pierres, let's be honest. Like, y'all Google Pierres, just look at it. It's fantastic. The beautiful spring blooms this time of year, like early spring.
They're cascading. They're like this gold cascade
They're
with our
chains.
cedar that's sitting in front of us. It has that same kind of form, but it's blooming and it has broad
It's
leaves.
chains of white
Yeah.
blooms. It's
It's-
fantastic. And then the
I kinda
bust
want
of new
one.
growth in the spring
Adam
is this
looks
beautiful red.
mad right now.
Adam doesn't really like Pierres, okay? I
Shaking
knew
his
he was
head.
going to do this. I knew it. But I said,
I've
Adam,
never
it's the
seen
goat
one that big
of
in this part of the
patience.
country.
I've never said that I didn't like Pierce. I've said that it's one of those things where, like you're saying, Austin, when you see one of them,
Yes.
it's amazing. But how many of them do you see around here that look
I know.
like that?
I know.
Not many.
Not that many. But when you see that one,
Yeah. It's I don't know. It's one of those things where you may have people chasing something that's not that possible.
Not that possible, but
Shirley
can
made it
be.
happen.
Look, you got to be a patient goat.
Sure.
A patient goat.
Sure.
You do. It's all about patience.
I agree.
Now I want to try one. Maybe I will. We get them in at the nursery, and they do look super cute.
They're beautiful.
In pots, and they're spilling over. And when they're blooming, it's just
I know. They are.
there's nothing that looks like it. I mean, it's got a very unusual, unique look, and wow. But also, we got to get to more questions,
We do.
so our
Hey,
viewers
there's
and
Reesh.
listeners are not mad. Good morning, Risha.
Sorry.
I don't know what it says
She
because
said,
I'm not
love you,
wearing my
too,
glasses.
love you too, Austin, and all of you at Gardening Inside Out. And dang, Austin, that story was great.
Aw.
Yeah,
Thanks, Reach.
that was.
Love you, Reach. And your butterfly bush. Hope it's doing great.
I'm sure it's doing amazing.
looks like sticks
It'll
right
be
now,
in
doesn't it, Reach?
bloom in a few months.
She's like, I'm bad at it right now.
Sounds like a pursuit of Pieris is a gardener's quest for the Holy Grail.
It is.
Jane gets it.
It is, and I mean the amount of times that I've told people you have got to treat this like a rhododendron. You've
Yep.
got to dig a hole
Well.
8 times bigger than any other plant. Put well draining stuff in it.
All the things.
All the things in there, and even then,
It might not happen.
maybe it'll make it. I don't know.
I want to give it a try. I
See?
might do it. Okay, but let's get to questions. We got a
Sorry.
question in from Mikey. Shout out to Mikey.
Hey,
We
Mikey.
heard from you for the first time a couple weeks ago. So Mikey says, I have a poinsettia my sister gave me at Christmas, and it's happy. Should I give it fertilizer to keep it happy until spring when I take it outside? I would say wait until it starts to get a little bit warmer outside, and just before you go to move it outside. That's when we want to fertilize it. Poinsettias, year after year, they look really great. They become a tree. Austin had one that was bonsai that was really, really cool, had a very thick trunk on it. I was actually at my parents' house the other night. My mom has probably 5 poinsettias she's had for years, and some that are really, really big. And I was just looking at how big and woody the base of the plant is. So yeah, just wait for it, Mikey. It'll be great. Put it outside. Make sure you don't put it into direct sun right away. If you do want to give it a little bit of direct sunlight, let it acclimate to that over time. And then Barbara is asking, when do we plant a new dawn rose?
No. Well, I mean, whenever you can find one. We don't get that
well,
shipment.
since Josh isn't here, I'll say 3:30.
Stop
There
it.
he
We
is.
thought we were going to miss out on that.
We didn't. No, Adam kept it going.
I mean,
great work, Adam.
If you have one that's in a pot somewhere, put it in the ground. I mean,
Today
it's
at 3:30.
Yeah, I mean
Today at
it's-
3:30.
Exactly.
But usually we don't get our roses until 1st of April, middle
Yep.
of April, something like that.
Yep. And that's when you can come out and find the freshest of the fresh.
Yep.
I mean, that's just, we've talked about Rose Day. Rose Day here is a
It's
tradition.
it is.
It's a big day.
It
It's a
is.
big day.
You and Pedro, it's like a ballet watching the two of you.
The
Your
second time
eyes
I've
look
danced.
wild right now. I mean, he is just here,
We've talked about dancing twice today. What's happening?
Dancing with Pedro.
Yes.
becoming a regular dancer.
Uh-huh.
You and Pedro, the ballet. Okay. Someone says, I see daffodils blooming. Is it too soon?
No.
I've got
those.
some
I
blooming.
mean, it's what they're doing.
That's what they're doing. Yeah, what are you gonna do?
They're more in tune than we are.
Yeah.
Who are we to say?
That's right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We are but mere mortals.
Uh-huh.
Exactly.
Oh, before we move on to bulbs, I got tulips cracking, y'all. Tulips out of my pots like this big.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, yeah. Mine
Sign
are
of spring.
popping out.
Yeah. Tulips, only the greatest bulb on the planet.
I need to
Don't.
check.
You know that's true. Oh, y'all know tulips are the greatest.
I will say,
like
if you have the money and the time to plant a ton of them, very densely packed, yes. But who has that?
Well, you got to do that with all bulbs, Caroline. What else? What other bulbs?
I don't
is gonna
know,
be
but like
one?
the return of just the single flower that comes up doesn't last long. The petals do this and then just fall
What do
off.
you mean doesn't last long? This is the most popular bulb on the planet, and you're just dissing tulips. Since when do you diss tulips?
Well,
That's true.
it used to be
now.
currency. Yeah, a few hundred years ago.
Well, it's not anymore.
Well, I'm just
It
saying.
could be. I think it could be.
Wow, I didn't know this was going to start something.
I'm mad.
All right, moving on to the next question.
I love tulips. We all do.
No, I do love them. They're not my favorite. And I have a lot planted, and I think I just so badly want it to be so much tighter, so much more dense, like cheekwood.
What we're saying is...
If I could make it look like cheekwood, but I can't.
Austin, what we're saying is it's Caroline, not the tulips.
Okay, good.
You know, I'm not going to read any more questions. We're done.
No.
Just kidding. We're not done.
Got 3.
Let's talk about a Rex begonia.
All right.
My Rex begonia is looking bad. It was doing fine until a few weeks ago. Tips. So when I grow Rex begonia inside, I don't actually have any right now. I did have a planter that had probably 5 different kinds in it. Towards the end of winter, before it starts getting warm, before it's time to fertilize or put them outside if that's what you do, a lot of times they do start trying to go dormant. I find that they really want to go dormant. And what I have done in the past is completely chopped my plant back. So I've removed all of the leaves, cut it back. And then what happens is you get a stronger plant that's actually going to push out from different spots on that stem from the begonia that's left. And then you'll have a bushier plant. It'll be so much healthier and way happier. So if that's the route you want to take, like I said, you can defoliate it, cut it back, and it will flush back out. Or just give it a couple more weeks and then fertilize it, put it outside, and it'll push a lot of new growth after that. But this is what they typically
that they run
do.
on the dry side. If you keep them too wet, they're just going to rot away.
Yep.
Oh, they rot away, yeah.
They're bad
very,
about
very
that.
fast. I love begonias. I have a lot. Just no Rex begonias right now.
Talk about like another shit, like leafy plant. There's just a million varieties of like begonia. There's so many out there.
Yeah.
Really cool ones too.
Yeah,
Super cool.
I love them.
I do too.
All right, one of our viewers is itching to plant right now.
No.
What can they put in the ground now?
Well,
Trees,
So many
shrubs,
things.
yeah.
Perennials.
Perennials,
yeah. There's tons of stuff you can put in the
Oh, yeah.
ground. It's just not those tender things we need to wait on a little bit, you know? But yeah, there's plenty of stuff. You know, I was thinking about like for next week, we should thinking cool season veggies, pansies, like that early thing.
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
happening, people.
And our final question, I hear that music, and you just mentioned it. When do you usually get fruit and vegetable plants in? I want to be prepared.
Fruit, we have a good amount right now,
Yeah,
but I
I
mean,
think so.
that's kind of our first
the-
like shipment fruit trees.
Yeah, the new fruit trees will be in probably a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And then probably we'll have some cool season stuff by next week.
And speaking of other fruits, like
Beginning of
one of
next
Adam's favorites, blueberries, blackberries,
Oh, yeah.
raspberries, we typically keep those on deck, y'all.
you
Like
can
we've
plant
got those
them
here
right now.
I noticed
Right
a
now.
lot of web orders came through. A lot of blueberries are on that. Y'all grow some food. It's nothing better.
I heard Isley first week of March, maybe.
Yes.
TY.
Maybe.
There it is.
March 3rd.
There it is.
And that's that ornamental stuff, y'all. That cool.
That you don't eat.
Well,
Yeah.
but thanks everyone for tuning in today, and
Yes.
thanks for all your great questions, and thanks to everyone here today for giving out that good information and helping keeping us informed. So we invite you to tune in again next week. You might have seen a note, Tyler. If you've got interest in this program, why don't you take a minute and subscribe and like the program? And we would like to spread this word around. You can share it with others. Check us out. We're here every week on Saturday mornings, 8 a.m. Central, Gardening Inside Out. We'll see you next week.
Thank you for tuning into the Gardening Inside Out podcast. If you're looking for more information or more from your hosts, don't forget that we have a live Saturday morning broadcast, 8 a.m. Central Time on YouTube and Facebook. You can also follow us on our Instagram channel. That's @Gardening Inside Out for more posts, reels, and in-depth dives to topics and things we've discussed on the show. If our content resonates with you, consider giving us a follow, like, and subscription on all of our social media pages. See you next time.